Everyone talks about strength, but very few people actually understand what it is. Today, strength is confused with dominance, aggression, or the need to always be right. But the Stoics believed something radically different. To them, true inner strength had nothing to do with control over others, and everything to do with control over yourself. In this video, you'll discover what inner strength really means, why most people never develop it, and how you can build a mind that stays firm, even when life applies pressure. True inner strength has always been admired, but in our time it seems especially rare. We live in an age of unprecedented comfort and connection, yet also of deep anxiety, distraction, and fragility. Many people feel overwhelmed by events beyond their control, easily shaken by criticism, or dependent on external validation for their sense of worth. True inner strength, by contrast, is quiet, stable, and rooted. It allows a person to remain calm in the midst of pressure, to hold firm to principles when they are unpopular, and to act with integrity even when no one is watching. Understanding why this kind of inner strength is scarce today is not an exercise in nostalgia or pessimism. It is an invitation to rethink how we live, what we value, and how we shape our own character. Before we continue, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments so this message can reach more people. To understand why inner strength is rare, we must first clarify what it is not. It is not noise, aggression, or public displays of confidence. A loud voice, a dominant social media presence, or the ability to win arguments does not automatically reflect strength of character. In many cases, such behaviors can hide insecurity. True inner strength is the capacity to act according to one's values despite fear, temptation, or social pressure. It is the quiet courage that holds a person together when life becomes difficult, the discipline that sustains commitments over time, and the humility to learn, apologize, and grow. In this sense, inner strength is less about appearance and more about alignment between our convictions and our actions. One of the main reasons inner strength is rare today is that our culture is oriented heavily toward comfort and immediate gratification. Technological progress, economic development, and consumer culture have made it easier than ever to avoid discomfort. With a few clicks, we can be entertained, distracted, or emotionally numbed. Difficult feelings can be escaped through endless scrolling, streaming, or shopping. While comfort and convenience are not inherently bad, they can weaken the muscles of the soul when they become a constant refuge from challenge. Inner strength is forged in the presence of discomfort, not its absence. Without moments that demand patience, resilience, and sacrifice, we lose the opportunity to train these deeper capacities. Furthermore, many modern environments reward speed over depth and reaction over reflection. Social media, for example, encourages rapid responses, emotional extremes, and instant judgment. Nuance and thoughtful silence rarely attract attention. People feel pressured to have public opinions on every question and to respond immediately to every perceived offense. This constant state of reaction leaves little space for the kind of quiet introspection in which inner strength is cultivated. Strength of character grows when we can step back, think carefully, and align our responses with our values instead of simply reacting to stimuli. Another important factor is the erosion of stable narratives and shared meaning. In many traditional societies, people were rooted in strong communities, extended families, and shared belief systems that provided a clear sense of identity and purpose. Today, many individuals grow up in fragmented environments. Families are often geographically dispersed or broken, communities are less cohesive, and belief systems are frequently questioned or abandoned without being replaced by something equally deep. Without a clear sense of who we are and what we are living for, it is hard to develop inner strength. Strength arises when a person knows what they stand for and why their sacrifices matter. At the same time, the rise of hyper-individualism has transformed how we see ourselves and our responsibilities. On one hand, individual freedom has brought many important gains. People can choose their own paths, question unjust norms, and pursue personal aspirations. On the other hand, when freedom is detached from responsibility and community, it can lead to isolation and fragility. If the self becomes the only reference point, then every criticism feels like an attack on the core of our being, and any failure appears as a total collapse. Inner strength, however, is built on the recognition that our lives are connected to something greater than ourselves: family, community, ideals, or spiritual convictions. This broader horizon gives us perspective and allows us to endure personal setbacks without losing our sense of worth. Psychological research also offers clues. Studies have shown that resilience, the capacity to adapt well in the face of adversity, is linked not only to external support systems, but also to internal habits, such as optimism, a sense of purpose, and the ability to regulate emotions. Yet many of the structures that helped previous generations build resilience have been weakened. For example, unstructured play in childhood, where children learn to negotiate conflicts, handle minor injuries, and deal with boredom, has been reduced in many places, replaced by screens or highly controlled activities. Overprotection, although motivated by love, can unintentionally teach children that they are fragile and unable to cope with difficulty. This mindset can persist into adulthood, making genuine inner strength less common. In addition, the contemporary obsession with image and external validation undermines the development of an inwardly anchored identity. Social networks often present carefully curated lives, emphasizing success, beauty, and constant happiness. When people compare their real, imperfect lives with these edited versions, they may feel inadequate or ashamed. As a result, some try to construct external identities that will be admired, even if these identities do not reflect their true selves. The energy that could be invested in cultivating character is then diverted toward managing impressions. Inner strength, by contrast, flourishes when we accept our imperfections honestly, work on our weaknesses, and stop seeking constant approval from others. We must also recognize the role of fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, and fear of suffering are powerful forces that shape behavior. In a culture where mistakes are publicly exposed and quickly judged, fear can be paralyzing. People may avoid risks, remain silent in the face of injustice, or abandon their convictions when they become unpopular. True inner strength does not mean an absence of fear. It means the ability to act correctly despite fear. However, such courage requires a foundation of self-knowledge, moral clarity, and inner stability that is not commonly encouraged in fast-paced, performance-oriented environments. Another subtle yet significant obstacle is the loss of deep, sustained attention. Inner strength requires the ability to focus the mind, to reflect on one's motives, and to consider long-term consequences. Yet the modern attention economy is designed to fragment our focus into small, moneizable units. Notifications interrupt our thoughts, algorithms anticipate our preferences, and the constant stream of information creates an illusion of urgency. Under these conditions, it becomes difficult to engage in the kind of calm, extended reflection that strengthens the inner life. When we rarely sit with our own thoughts, we do not truly know ourselves, and unknown parts of the self cannot be strengthened. It is also important to acknowledge that genuine inner strength is demanding. It calls us to take responsibility for our choices instead of blaming circumstances, to confront our own shadows instead of projecting them onto others, and to commit to principles even when they cost us something. Many of us are tempted by easier alternatives. We justify our weaknesses, blame society for all our frustrations, or claim victimhood whenever reality does not align with our desires. While real injustices certainly exist and should be addressed, the habit of constantly shifting responsibility outward prevents the growth of inner strength. Courage and maturity begin when we accept that, even within unjust or difficult conditions, we still retain a sphere of freedom and responsibility for our own responses. At a deeper level, true inner strength is rare because it cannot be mass-produced, automated, or outsourced. It is not transferable like information. It must be personally acquired through experience, reflection, and deliberate effort. No course, motivational talk, or external technique can instantly confer it. They can inspire or guide, but the work of integrating wisdom into character must be done by each individual. In a world that values speed and scale, such slow and personal processes can seem unattractive. Yet it is precisely this slow, hidden work that gives a person a presence that others can sense, even if they cannot easily describe it. Paradoxically, the very scarcity of inner strength today highlights its immense value. In environments filled with noise, the person who is calm stands out. In times of dishonesty, the one who is truthful shines. In cultures of self-promotion, the one who serves quietly becomes a source of trust. When inner strength is rare, those who cultivate it become beacons. Their lives give evidence that it is possible to live differently, to remain grounded amid confusion, and to offer stability in times of crisis. Such people may not be famous, but their influence is profound. They are the ones others look to when things fall apart. Recognizing why inner strength is rare should not lead us to despair or to condemn our time. Every era has its own challenges and temptations. Our age is unique in its technological power, its access to information, and its global interconnectedness. These same features that undermine inner strength can, if used wisely, become tools for cultivating it. Technology can spread wisdom, information can deepen understanding, and global connection can foster empathy and collaboration. What is needed is not the rejection of our time, but the cultivation of a different posture within it, a more intentional, grounded, and courageous way of living. To move toward this posture, we must first admit the truth about our current condition. Many of us are overstimulated yet bored, connected yet lonely, informed yet confused, and publicly expressive yet inwardly fragile. Inner strength will remain rare as long as we continue to live at this frantic surface level. The journey toward a stronger inner life begins with a simple but demanding decision: to live more deeply rather than more quickly, to choose integrity over image, and to prioritize growth over comfort. From this decision forward, every challenge becomes an opportunity to train the soul. If we accept that true inner strength is not a given but a goal, we can then ask, how can we, in practical terms, cultivate it in our own lives despite the pressures of our time? The answer to this question is personal and gradual, but it is not mysterious. It involves developing habits of reflection, taking responsibility for our actions, learning from adversity, and anchoring our lives in values that transcend passing trends. In a world that frequently encourages us to be spectators, inner strength calls us to become protagonists of our own stories. Let us now turn more concretely to how we can build this rare inner strength in daily life, right where we are, with the opportunities and limitations we already have. In the second part of this reflection, the focus shifts from diagnosis to construction, from analyzing why inner strength is rare to exploring how it can be consciously developed. While external circumstances vary widely, the internal path towards strength follows certain timeless principles. These principles do not require perfect conditions or extraordinary talents. They demand only sincerity, perseverance, and a willingness to grow. True inner strength is available to anyone who is willing to walk this path with patience and honesty. The first step is self-knowledge. It is impossible to strengthen what we do not know. Many people live disconnected from their own inner world, driven by impulses, habits, and external expectations. They repeat patterns without understanding their origins, react emotionally without knowing why, and pursue goals that do not truly reflect their values. To cultivate inner strength, one must become a careful observer of the self. This involves noticing recurring fears, desires, and reactions, recognizing both talents and limitations, and acknowledging wounds that have not yet healed. Such self-knowledge is not self-absorption. It is the foundation for conscious living. It transforms vague discomfort into clear responsibility and opens the door to deliberate change. A practical way to foster self-knowledge is through regular moments of reflection, whether in silence, journaling, or sincere conversation with a trusted person. Setting aside even a few minutes each day to review one's actions, motives, and emotions can gradually reveal patterns that were previously invisible. Questions such as what moved me today, fear or conviction, where did I act below my own standards, or what gave me genuine peace and meaning, help to orient the mind toward growth. Over time, this reflective habit strengthens the inner observer and diminishes the power of unconscious impulses. Closely linked to self-knowledge is the cultivation of clear values. Inner strength is not mere toughness. It is fidelity to something worthy. Without a hierarchy of values, strength can be misdirected or even destructive. Therefore, each person must ask, what do I consider truly non-negotiable? Honesty, justice, compassion, responsibility, faithfulness. These are not abstract questions. They define the kind of person we are striving to become. Writing down our core values, reflecting on them, and revisiting them in moments of decision transforms them from vague ideals into practical guides. When values are clear, many choices become simpler, and the energy that would be spent on indecision can be invested in courageous action. Once values have been identified, the next step is alignment between values and behavior. True inner strength arises when there is coherence between what we believe and what we do. This coherence is tested especially in small, hidden situations. The temptation to lie to avoid inconvenience, the opportunity to benefit from another's ignorance, the chance to take credit for work we did not do. Every time we choose integrity over advantage, we add a small layer to our inner strength. These decisions may seem insignificant, but collectively they shape our character. A person who consistently chooses the right thing in small matters is better prepared to stand firm in major trials. Another crucial dimension is the way we relate to suffering and difficulty. Inner strength does not seek pain, but it does not flee from the pain that accompanies meaningful growth. Many great teachers, both spiritual and secular, have emphasized that adversity can refine the human being when it is faced with courage and reflection. Loss, failure, illness, or betrayal can either harden the heart or deepen it. The difference lies in how we interpret and respond to these events. Seeing difficulties as pure injustice or meaningless misfortune tends to lead to bitterness. Seeing them as painful but potentially fruitful invitations to maturity opens a path to strength. This does not mean romanticizing suffering or denying its harshness. It means recognizing that, although we may not choose every circumstance, we always retain some freedom in our response. We can ask, what can I learn from this? Who can I become through this? How can I emerge from this experience wiser and more compassionate? Such questions gradually transform passive victims into active authors of their own development. Real inner strength often appears in people who have suffered deeply and yet chosen not to let suffering define or embitter them. Discipline is also an indispensable ally. In a culture that glorifies spontaneity and feelings, discipline can seem oppressive or old-fashioned. However, without discipline there is no freedom, only slavery to mood and impulse. Discipline means creating structures and habits that support our values even when we do not feel motivated. It might be the discipline to get up early to study or work, to maintain physical health through exercise and rest, to dedicate time to relationships or spiritual practice, or to limit exposure to digital distractions. Each act of discipline strengthens the will, which is a central pillar of inner strength. Over time, what began as effort becomes second nature, and the person experiences a deeper, more stable kind of freedom. In parallel, emotional regulation is essential. True inner strength does not suppress emotions but governs them. It recognizes that feelings are important indicators but not infallible guides. A person with inner strength can feel anger without being consumed by it, experience fear without being paralyzed, and acknowledge sadness without losing hope. This capacity can be developed through various means: breathing techniques, meditation, therapy, prayer, or simple practices such as pausing before reacting. The habit of taking a brief pause, a deep breath, a silent count, a short moment of reflection, before responding to provocation or stress can prevent many unnecessary conflicts and help align actions with values. Another path to inner strength is the choice to serve and take responsibility beyond oneself. Interestingly, people who assume responsibility for something larger than their own comfort often become stronger internally. Parents who wake up countless times during the night to care for a child, caregivers who assist sick relatives with patience, or professionals who serve their communities with integrity, all develop an endurance and resilience that others may not understand. Responsibility, when embraced freely and not as a mere burden, stretches the heart and expands its capacity. It teaches the person to act even when they do not feel like acting, to persevere even when gratitude is scarce, and to remain faithful even when recognition is absent. Gratitude is another powerful source of strength. At first glance, gratitude may seem gentle or passive, but its effects are profound. A grateful person does not deny difficulties but refuses to reduce life to them. By consciously noticing and appreciating what is good, relationships, opportunities, lessons learned, moments of beauty, such a person builds an internal reservoir of positive meaning that supports them in times of trial. Scientific studies have shown that regular practices of gratitude, such as writing down a few things one is grateful for each day, can increase well-being and resilience. Gratitude reorients the mind from deficiency to sufficiency, from complaint to recognition, which in turn nourishes hope. Community also plays an irreplaceable role. While inner strength is developed within the individual, it is often awakened, tested, and sustained in relationships. We become stronger when we walk alongside people who challenge us to grow, model integrity, and encourage us in moments of weakness. Seeking out such relationships, whether in families, friendships, professional circles, or spiritual communities, is a concrete way to support our journey. Equally important is offering this support to others. When we listen sincerely, speak truth with kindness, and stand by others in their struggles, we not only strengthen them, we also strengthen ourselves. A further dimension is the pursuit of a transcendent perspective. For many, this takes the form of religious faith. For others, a deep philosophical or ethical conviction. Whatever its specific form, a sense of transcendence gives meaning to sacrifice and places personal stories within a larger narrative. When a person believes that their efforts, even if unnoticed by society, have significance in a greater plan or contribute to a good that surpasses their own life, they find strength to persevere in situations that others might abandon. This vertical dimension of existence, linking the human to something higher, has historically been a powerful source of inner strength across cultures and eras. It is also important to practice forgiveness, both of oneself and of others. resentment and self-condemnation drain inner energy. Holding on to past offenses or personal mistakes as permanent definitions of identity keeps the heart imprisoned. Forgiveness does not mean approving injustice or forgetting pain. It means refusing to let these experiences control the future. When we forgive others, we release the chain that links us to the injury. When we forgive ourselves, we accept that we are capable of growth and change. In both cases, forgiveness is an act of strength, not weakness. It requires courage to let go of narratives in which we are always victims or always guilty, and to step into the responsibility of living differently from now on. Finally, cultivating inner strength requires patience with the process. In a culture of instant results, we may feel discouraged when personal change is slow or when old habits return. However, genuine transformation of character does not occur in a straight line. It involves advances and regressions, moments of clarity and times of confusion. What matters is not perfection but perseverance. Every sincere effort, every honest self-examination, every act of integrity, every moment of courage leaves a trace. Over months and years, these traces form a path that leads to a solid, peaceful, and reliable inner life. True inner strength may be rare today, but it is not reserved for a select few. It is within reach of anyone willing to walk against certain currents of our time: the cult of image, the addiction to comfort, the fear of responsibility, the fragmentation of attention. By choosing reflection over reaction, responsibility over excuses, discipline over impulse, and love over selfishness, each of us can gradually become the kind of person whose presence brings stability and hope to others. In the end, the question is not only why inner strength is rare, but who we are willing to become. Each day offers opportunities, often hidden in ordinary situations, to practice patience, honesty, courage, and compassion. Each of these choices, however small, contributes to the construction of a character that does not collapse under pressure. The world needs such people now more than ever, men and women who, instead of being carried away by every current of fear or fashion, stand as quiet pillars of integrity and hope. If we take this calling seriously, our lives will not necessarily become easier, but they will become deeper, truer, and more meaningful. We will discover that inner strength is not merely a personal achievement, but a gift we offer to others through the way we live. In times of confusion, our clarity will serve. In moments of despair, our hope will sustain. In seasons of division, our capacity to listen and to love will heal. Thus, by seeking inner strength not for our own glory, but for the good of those around us, we participate in the quiet, powerful transformation that every age, including ours, so profoundly needs.